In an emotional moment that caught everyone off guard, Oprah Winfrey was seen wiping away tears at a West Texas launch site, not for herself, but for her best friend of nearly 5 decades, Gayle King. And the reason? Gayle, who's famously afraid of flying, had just climbed aboard a rocket headed into space. Joining her on this historic all-female Blue Origin flight were pop superstar Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen, former NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and film producer Carrie Flynn. But this wasn't just a celebrity space trip. For Gayle King, this was something much deeper, a personal mission to face one of her greatest fears. Oprah, dressed in bright yellow, because, as she said,
is sunshine,
stood at the launch site with Orlando Bloom, eyes full of pride and nerves. She told reporters,
"I have never been more proud of my friend. This is bigger than just going to space."
So what pushed Gayle to say yes? What role did Oprah play in it all? And what happened during those 11 unforgettable minutes in space that had people around the world holding their breath? The full story is even more surprising than you think. Gayle King has always been open about one thing. She does not like flying. Even short flights make her nervous. Oprah once joked,
"Anytime we're on a flight, she's in anybody's lap."
So when news broke that Gayle was heading into space on a Blue Origin rocket, people were shocked. Social media lit up. "Wait, Gayle King is going to space?" one person wrote. Another said, "She looks terrified. Is she being forced to do this?" And honestly, Gayle nearly backed out. She was scared, really scared. But Oprah, who's been her closest friend for nearly 50 years, wasn't going to let her give up. Oprah sat her down and said,
"This is bigger than just going to space." I mean, I think for her, who all the women are going up for the first time, there will be other trips, but there's only one first time. So to be a pioneer is great. It's going to be cathartic in so many ways for her.
The mission included an inspiring all-female crew. Katy Perry, who was full of energy and ready to fly. Lauren Sanchez, who's no stranger to high-profile moments. Plus rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, activist Amanda Nguyen, and producer Carrie Flynn. But it was Gayle's fear, and her choice to face it, that captured everyone's attention. At the launch site, you could feel the contrast. Katy was laughing, making jokes, totally in her element. Lauren looked calm and collected. But Gayle, she looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Oprah was right there, dressed in yellow, watching every moment. "I felt calm," she told a reporter, "because I knew this was bigger than space. This was Gayle choosing courage." And just moments before launch, Oprah said one final thing to her best friend.
"Peace be still. Hold the God's unchanging hand. He's got your back. That's it."
-10, 9.
When the countdown started, Gayle was still nervous, but she stayed. She didn't run, she didn't quit, and that alone was already a victory. The internet watched closely. Some cheered her on, others doubted she could do it. But Oprah knew. This was Gayle's moment to rise, literally and emotionally. At exactly 8:36 a.m., the countdown reached 0. And the Blue Origin rocket roared to life. In seconds, the capsule carrying Gayle King, Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and 3 other women lifted off into the sky. Oprah stood just yards away, eyes locked on the rocket, her hands covering her mouth. She was already crying. This wasn't just a launch. It was the moment Gayle faced a fear she's battled for decades. Inside the capsule, it was quiet and tense. Gayle was seated next to Katy Perry, who brought her signature mix of calm and energy. Just before liftoff, Gayle looked at her and said, "I don't know if I can do this." Katy smiled and grabbed her hand. "You already are." And that's when the rocket crossed the Kármán line, officially entering space. Oprah whispered, "She made it." The entire crew was now weightless, floating above the earth. For a few minutes, everything was silent except for soft laughter and the sound of awe. Gayle looked out the window and saw the curve of the planet. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "I'm not scared right now. I thought I would be, but I'm not." And then Katy did something no one expected. She started singing. Quietly at first. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag? It was playful, sweet, and honestly kind of perfect. Even Gayle cracked a smile. Back on the ground, Oprah watched the live feed, clutching Orlando Bloom's arm. "That's the bravest thing I've ever seen," she said. And you could tell she meant it. The flight lasted just 11 minutes, but it changed something in everyone on board. They weren't just passengers, they were pioneers, especially Gayle. And as the capsule began its descent, gliding gently back toward the West Texas desert, no one knew what would happen when they touched the ground. But Oprah did. She knew this moment was going to be bigger than the launch itself, because sometimes the hardest part isn't blasting off, it's having the strength to go in the first place. The capsule touched down in the West Texas desert with a soft puff of dust. The parachutes had done their job. The ride was over. But what happened next? That's what really made this story unforgettable. As soon as the hatch opened, Gayle King stepped out slowly and then dropped to her knees. She kissed the ground. No words, just pure emotion. A release of everything she'd been holding inside. Oprah couldn't hold back either. She ran toward her, tears streaming down her face. "She did it," she kept saying. "She really did it." Katy Perry followed behind, arms stretched to the sky, yelling, "That was insane!" Lauren Sanchez hugged the crew. The mood was electric, part celebration, part relief. You could feel the pride in the air. But the spotlight was on Gayle. A woman who had always been open about her anxiety with flying had just returned from space. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. Online, people couldn't get enough. Clips of Katy singing in space went viral. Memes of Gayle kissing the earth filled Twitter, and the comment sections full of love. "Gayle is the definition of brave," one post said. That was real fear, and she did it anyway. Later, Oprah shared more about their final conversation before launch. "I told her, there's only one first time when all the women go up. If you skip this, you'll regret it forever." And maybe that's what hit the hardest. This wasn't about space. It was about growth, about doing the thing that scares you and coming out stronger on the other side. Oprah summed it up best. This was never just a space flight. It was about becoming the version of yourself you didn't know you could be. After the photos and hugs, Oprah pulled Gayle aside and said, "I've never been more proud of you." And Gayle, still shaking a little, looked at her and said, "I think I finally believe in myself the way you always have." It was more than a launch. It was a transformation, one that reminded everyone watching, we're all capable of doing something we once thought impossible. Before the rocket launched, before the cameras started rolling, Oprah looked Gayle in the eye and said something simple but powerful.
Peace be still. Hold to God's unchanging hand. He's got your back. That's it.
-10, 9, 8.
That moment wasn't just emotional. It was the foundation for everything that came next. When Gayle returned from space, something had shifted. She wasn't just relieved, she looked lighter, stronger, and somehow more herself. She had faced one of her biggest fears in front of the entire world and didn't just survive it, she owned it. Katy Perry, with her fearless energy and mid-flight singing, played a huge role in lifting the mood and lifting spirits. That balance between nerves and joy, fear and friendship, is what made this mission so special. This wasn't just a headline, it was a lesson. And here's the real question. If Gayle King can face her deepest fear 65 miles above Earth, what's your rocket? What's that one thing you know you need to face? Drop your answers in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if this video inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little push to believe in themselves again.